My name is Christine. I've been married for 20 years, and my husband, Richard, came back with his mistress and their secret child.
I'm cutting ties with you and the kids. Sign this.
These were the words Richard said when he returned. In front of me was a paper labeled divorce papers. Suddenly, he brought a woman and even a child, even if he says divorce. My heart pounded loudly, showing intense agitation. You can't just say something like that out of the blue. You're the vice president, remember?
Yeah, I'm the vice president. There's no law saying a vice president can't get a divorce. Emma is already in high school. You've raised both kids well, so from here on, I'll live as James' dad.
Emma is our second daughter. She's 17, and our first daughter, Amy, is 19. He thinks it's fine since we've raised them this far. James?
This kid here, he's a boy, and he'll be the future president.
This child, is he yours?
Yeah, that's right. You only gave me girls, but Nancy gave me a boy. I never thought a boy could be this cute. I was sick of a house full of girls.
How could you say such a thing?
I wanted an heir. Only a boy can be my successor.
How old is he?
He's 5.
How long have you been with her?
Over 10 years. You never noticed. But while living with you, I've been trying hard as Nancy's husband too.
Richard says I didn't notice, but I knew about his affair. For 10 years, Richard didn't come home. Even when he did occasionally come back, he would look at me with a displeased expression and throw his laundry at me.
Do the laundry.
That was the extent of our conversation. No matter what I said or asked, he never gave a proper response, only saying what he wanted to say. Then, as if his business was done, he would leave again. In recent years, he had stopped coming back altogether. Does he really think there is a wife who wouldn't suspect infidelity? I did suspect, and I even hired a detective to investigate. I knew he had a woman, but I couldn't leave him because Richard was the vice president. 20 years ago, when he proposed, I introduced him to my parents. Then my dad strongly opposed our marriage. He said Richard wasn't fit to be a president. But I was blinded by love. So I couldn't accept what my dad said. I couldn't understand the meaning of his words. I was the one who chose Richard. I knew him better than anyone else. What did my dad know about him? I harbored such selfish thoughts. Eventually, my dad relented. His condition for allowing the marriage was that Richard would take over his company. Since there were no boys in my family, my dad decided that my husband would be the next president and gave Richard that condition. Richard was happy to become the president and said he would do his best. Then we got married. For a while after we got married, he worked hard, making efforts to become the president. Seeing him work so hard made me think my dad was satisfied. But that was only at first. Gradually, Richard developed a habit of playing around, and after our 2 children were born, he preferred being out rather than at home, and eventually stopped coming home altogether. As the future president, he had money. With his credit cards, he spent money like water. I couldn't reveal this to my dad, so I suffered alone. But as Richard neglected his work and dumped everything on the employees, complaints started to arise, and the employees began to lose their motivation. I was the one who had to cover for him. My dad, being his daughter's husband, couldn't be too harsh, but he was bitter about Richard's behavior. Occasionally, he'd say, "He can't be a president like that," but he didn't say much more to me. Around this time, I started regretting my marriage. I could endure if it was just my suffering, but it was also causing pain to my beloved dad and the important employees. The thought of divorce began to surface, but I didn't go through with it because of our children. Do I have the right to take their dad away from them? If we divorced, they'd be fatherless. Wouldn't that make them unhappy too? This inner conflict tormented me for years. Without caring about my suffering, Richard eventually stopped coming to the company. He didn't work at all. He didn't care about the company. But as the vice president, he still got his salary. I kept telling myself that he'd return to his old self and decided to hold the company together until he did. But in the end, divorce. If he divorces me, he'd lose his title as president and be jobless. Naturally, he wouldn't get his salary. Does he understand that? Maybe he's doing some other job. If that's the case, then it's not my concern. But what about our kids? Losing their dad like this? If their parents divorce at such a sensitive age, wouldn't that hurt them? At least until they graduate from college.
Hey, what are you thinking about? I've worked hard for you until now. I've done my duty as a parent. You have no complaints, do you? Sign the divorce papers.
Richard's yelling made my mind go blank. When I looked at the kids, my eyes must have shown worry and pity. Then the kids spoke up.
Mom, if he wants a divorce, then get a divorce.
Yeah, just divorce him.
Dad says he raised us well, but who do you think really raised us? He was hardly ever home when we were growing up. Grandpa was the one who took his place.
Grandpa and Grandma used to come with us to the amusement park and the zoo instead of my dad. There was nothing wrong with not having a dad.
What did you say?
He's useless, so you should just divorce him.
But I can't take your dad away from you too.
Take him away? He left on his own. We never thought of him as a dad anyway.
Thinking you're taking away our dad is just your delusion. We don't want a useless parent. Even Grandpa says he's not fit to be the president.
Grandma always says she wants you to divorce Dad too. We feel the same way. Having him as a dad is just embarrassing.
You brats. I've worked hard so you could live.
How did you work hard? You never went to the company, just a vice president in name. When you did come home, you only made Mom suffer. You never even talked to us.
If you claim to be our parent, can you tell us our birthdays? Do you know how old I am? Do you know which college I attend?
Well, even if I don't know those things, I'm still your dad.
That's just a biological function. If it was just about creating kids, a sperm bank would do. And a sperm bank would provide better genes.
Exactly. But we have Mom's genes, and it's good that we don't resemble you. Thanks to that, I got into Harvard on my first try.
Harvard? Really?
Yes, that's right.
You're that smart.
I take after Mom. I'm aiming for Harvard too.
Aiming is one thing, but getting in is another. Just because Amy got in on her first try doesn't mean Emma will.
She's always at the top of her class. Don't pretend to know things you don't. I never thought he would say such things about our child, and I felt my anger rising.
Mom, let's just leave him. We don't need someone so useless.
I don't need him either. Having him as a dad is nothing but a stain.
What do you think a father is?
Richard got angry at being mocked by our kids, but it was Nancy, his mistress, who stopped him.
Richard, it's fine. They're saying they'll let us be. Once you're gone, they'll realize how valuable a father's presence is, whether they like it or not.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And the company will be fine with Mom around, right? After all, you're just a vice president in name, doing nothing but spending money.
You really are just kids. You don't know anything.
What?
A company is a man's world. Women can't become presidents. Even if a woman becomes president, the surroundings are all men. That's why your grandfather said I should take over after our marriage. The company has been running smoothly because of me.
Dad, you really don't know anything.
If the company ran fine without a vice president who didn't show up or work, then it means women can do the job just fine. It means even a playboy like you can manage.
Well, that's...
Who do you think has been keeping the company running while you were away? Grandpa, the president, and Mom acting as vice president. The employees rely on Mom now. With Mom, the company is doing just fine.
That's ridiculous. No, I won't step down as vice president, even if we divorce. You were able to act as vice president because of me.
That's not true.
Nobody in the company respects a ghost vice president who does nothing.
Both kids, who work part-time at my dad's company, know the internal situation well. They know the employees work confidently without the vice president around.
Having someone like you around only makes things harder for the employees.
Exactly. The part-time ladies think Mom is the vice president.
No employee at that company respects someone who doesn't work.
Stop acting like you know everything.
We do know. Obviously. We work there. I've been working there for 4 years and Emma for 2. We know the company way better than you do.
This can't be.
It's true. These kids are valuable assets.
See, you don't know anything.
After I graduate from college, I've decided to work for the company.
I'm going to become a lawyer and be the company's in-house attorney. I won't help if you take over the company. But if Mom becomes the president, I'll fully support her.
Why would you do that?
It's obvious. You sowed the seeds for this outcome yourself.
I'm glad it worked out so well.
There's no way you can do it. There's no way you women can protect the company. I'm going to be the president.
I'm filing for divorce. With that, I picked up a pen and decisively began signing the divorce papers. After signing, I took a deep breath, determined to end 20 years of suffering, and handed the divorce papers to Richard. Is this good enough for you?
Oh, you finally decided to divorce. Now, you all need to get out of here.
You're the one who needs to leave.
What are you talking about? This house is mine.
This house was bought by my dad. The title is in his name.
That can't be true.
Yes, it is. When he bought this house, my dad didn't trust you, so he made it a condition that the title be in his name.
But you told me it was in my name.
That was just to appease your ego. But my dad didn't trust you and said he wouldn't transfer the title until he saw you were trustworthy. He thought you might sell it off suddenly. I didn't believe you'd do that, but it seems my dad wasn't entirely wrong.
I wouldn't sell it off.
But now you're trying to kick us out. It's the same thing. This is my dad's house, so you're the one who has to leave.
Damn it. How could this happen?
Richard, what's going on? Isn't this house yours? That's what you said.
Yes, that's what I said.
Then hurry up and kick them out.
The thing is,
Weren't you listening?
Or maybe you just don't get it?
You're Nancy, right? The deed to this house belongs to my dad. So now that we're divorced, it's Richard who has to leave. Do you understand?
Why? Richard said this house was his.
That's a misunderstanding on Richard's part.
That's not fair. Richard, didn't you say this house was yours?
well, yes. But it seems I was mistaken.
This can't be happening.
But it's okay. I'm the next president. No matter what they say, I'll be the president.
Are you serious? Since we're divorced, you'll have to leave the company too.
What are you talking about? I'm the vice president. How can you, as the acting vice president, decide that? That's impossible.
Don't you remember the condition when we got married? If you marry, you take over the company. That was the deal, right?
Yes, exactly.
So, since we're divorced, you don't have to take over the company.
Not taking over the company means I can still take over if I want.
That's how you think. But since we're divorced, it's none of my concern anymore. What do you think the board will say? Do you think they'll keep someone who hasn't been working? They won't be that lenient.
This can't be happening.
The only reason you got paid without working was because you were my husband. Now that you're not, the company will save a lot of money by not paying unnecessary expenses.
No, that's wrong. I'm going to be the president. How can they just fire me like that? That's impossible.
If you're just a ghost, it's better that you're gone. And there's no way my dad would want you as president.
But the president said, a man has to be the president.
There's a slight difference there. It's not just any man. It has to be a capable man. You neither work nor have the motivation. The only reason you had free reign was because you were my husband. My dad, the president, has repeatedly said you're no good. I was the one stopping him. I kept asking him to look at the long term, believing you'd return to your old self.
What is happening? So Richard can't be the president after all?
Exactly.
Then what about his salary? He got paid without working before, so it'll be the same now, right?
Of course not. If he's not the vice president anymore, he won't be getting his salary.
The only reason he was able to be the vice president was because he was married to Mom.
Exactly. My dad tolerated you only because he was my husband.
But if he wasn't around, the company wouldn't run, right? Even if Richard didn't come to the office, it was because he was listed as the vice president, right? Tell me that's true.
Yeah, I thought so too.
You've been feeding Nancy lies. The company ran just fine with my dad and me, even without Richard. I kept hoping he'd realize his responsibilities, and I didn't want to take the kid's dad away, so I endured. In other words, the company can operate perfectly well without him.
No, he can't lose the presidency.
Yes, he can't be the president, nor the vice president. He is no longer needed.
If I'm gone, who will be the president?
I will be the president.
Why you? If he's not the president, how will we live? I never heard anything about losing his salary. That means no job.
Oh, isn't he working somewhere else? He never came to the office, so he wasn't just playing around every day, right?
He told me he didn't need to go to the office because he was so high up. So we always played poker together.
Oh, so that's why the credit card bills were so high. Well, you can say goodbye to that life. And since we're divorcing, I'm claiming alimony and child support. Nancy, that includes you.
Why should I have to pay?
Because you broke up our family. It's only fair.
But you're becoming the president. You'll be rich. Why do you need alimony and child support?
That's a separate issue.
That's ridiculous. If you're rich, you don't need money.
No, Nancy. It's fine because we have James.
What?
As long as we have James, we're set.
Oh, right. We have James.
What about this kid?
My boy is already a star. You've probably seen him. He's in every drama now.
Oh, he's that super popular child actor.
Exactly.
He has jobs lined up every day. Even today, he has a drama shoot after this. So, even if I'm not the president, we'll be fine.
But if you rely on that, You'll be in big trouble soon enough.
What trouble?
Child actors grow up and often lose work. Many child stars end up fading away. Don't you know that?
That's true. Child actors can't stay on top forever.
That's not true. This kid is a gold mine. He's got tons of jobs lined up.
Yeah, he'll definitely keep being popular. Who cares about being the president?
With that, they grabbed the divorce papers and stormed out of my house. A few years passed, and James remained a popular child actor. His name was everywhere. There wasn't a day when James' name wasn't on TV. However, as he grew older, his popularity waned, and other child actors began to take his place. Falling from grace, James learned to enjoy playing with his friends, and eventually cried about not wanting to work anymore, disappearing from the television world. Several years later, my ex-husband Richard came to visit. "Oh, it's been a while. I haven't seen James on TV recently. How's he doing?"
Well, as he got older, other child actors started getting the jobs. No matter how many auditions he went to, he couldn't get any roles. With more free time, James started saying he wanted to play with his friends. He started going out to play after school.
That's just a normal life.
It might be fine for James, but it wasn't fine for us. We managed to get him a role, but by then he was crying about not wanting to work. We took him to the set, but he kept crying, so he was eventually dropped from the role. After that, nobody wanted to use him.
Oh, just like his dad. Loves to play, huh? Definitely your genes.
This is no laughing matter. We can't live like this. So, we started a child actor channel on YouTube.
Well, that's quite an effort.
At first, it was fun. He didn't mind filming, but then he got bored with it.
Well, he is your kid.
We kept forcing him to do it, but his expressions got darker. We had to reshoot videos multiple times. And then came the flood of negative comments saying his eyes looked dead, that we were forcing him, that we were the worst parents exploiting our kid for money. In the end, we were accused of running a child abuse channel on social media. Nancy even got scared to upload videos. We had to shut the channel down.
Really?
With that, we lost our source of income.
Why don't you make your own videos? Any channel would do, right?
That's true, but I tried a few times, but none of them were hits. It just cost money without bringing in any income.
That sounds tough.
So, can you give me a job?
What?
No more child acting. No more YouTube. I need to work.
What about Nancy?
Because of the backlash from the YouTube channel, she can't go out anymore.
Why? Nancy didn't show her face, right?
Somehow, they found out about us and uploaded our photos. Even when we walk around town, people call us abusive parents. They even came to our house and threw trash on our doorstep. We went to the police, but the harassment didn't stop. We had to move, and now we're just waiting for the rumors to die down.
That's rough.
Yeah, it's really tough. I need to find a way to get by. Please, give me a job.
Why don't you look for a job elsewhere? Even if you worked at our company, the employees who know about your past wouldn't be happy.
You can handle that as the vice president.
I'm the president.
What? You're the president now?
Yes, I've been the president for quite a while.
Really? That's why you have this big office building.
Yes, it seems I can manage being president.
Even better then. As the president, you can hire me. You can afford to pay a high salary.
No, that's not possible. My dad was furious back then. He's retired now, but he still has a lot of influence.
But I know this company well. I'd be an asset right away.
I doubt that. The way we do things has changed a lot. Even if it were the same, you wouldn't be able to handle it. You never did more than half-hearted work.
I can do anything.
It's good to have confidence, but too much will make you disliked.
I'm not overconfident. I'm telling the truth.
How old are you?
52.
At 52, you're going to relearn everything from scratch? A humble person might manage, but someone like you can't.
Why do you think that?
Because I know you.
I'm not the same as I was before. Please, I'm begging you. Making my son a child actor has made things really difficult.
What's so difficult? Being called abusive parents.
It's not just that. Our son was spoiled during his child acting days and started to believe he was special. It showed, and he got shunned and bullied by his friends. As a result, he developed mental health issues and now has to go to the hospital, but we can't afford the medical bills.
Oh, that's tough.
He's become reclusive. Nancy has also been depressed because of being labeled an abusive parent.
And you?
I don't know about me. I can't tell.
I see.
Even if I'm not well, I don't have money for a hospital visit. So, I can't do anything. You need help, right? I can be useful.
We have enough help. Amy is currently learning the ropes to take over for me. She'll be an excellent president. Emma is studying to become a lawyer. With those two and many other talented people, we don't need unproductive employees. Fewer, more capable people mean we save on unnecessary expenses.
So, I'm the only one who's unlucky?
I don't know if it's luck, but you brought this on yourself by using your child as a tool. You could have become president if you'd done your job properly, but you threw that chance away. This is the result.
Don't say that. Help me out. I'll work hard for you.
For me? Then go back 28 years and start over, if you could do that. But I don't want anything to do with you anymore.
Don't say that, please.
I called the security guard and ordered him to escort Richard out. After our divorce, I claimed alimony and child support, which Richard paid in a lump sum. Back then, James was a popular child actor, so Richard was overconfident. But Richard and Nancy didn't foresee this future and eventually became penniless. Richard tried to find a job, went to many interviews, but no one would hire him. He even tried to get welfare, but that also failed. After much struggle, desperate and with no options left, Richard turned to illegal work. He got a job that involved submerging bodies in a pool, which was highly paid, and he contacted me to brag about it. But we knew it would lead to more trouble. As we predicted, Richard started having terrible nightmares every night. It's hard to believe anyone could mentally cope with that kind of job. Richard always hated the occult. His mental state quickly deteriorated, and he seemed to need hospitalization. However, he couldn't accept that he was unwell, insisting, "There's nothing wrong with me," and refused to go to the hospital. His life became even more difficult, and eventually, Nancy left him. Now, he stays in a dark room, muttering to himself, never going outside, and barely scraping by with some home-based work. As for me, my company has been growing rapidly with the help of my children. Sometimes people try to take advantage of me because I'm a female president, but Emma, now a lawyer, always steps in to help. My eldest, Amy, is now on the board of directors and works hard for the company. My dad, reassured, has retired and is enjoying traveling with my mom. He used to say that only a man could be president, but now he's proud of our female-led company. Thanks to this, We enjoy peaceful and happy